Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and today I'm going to take you on a little bit of a literary adventure. Recently I found out that a literary-themed brewery opened up about 30 minutes from where I live, so I decided I had to go immediately. It's called Small Gods, and after I'd tasted their wares and had a really good pretzel and a really good sandwich, I decided to email the owners and ask if they would do an interview with me, and they said yes. That means a couple of days ago I went back, I had some more beer, and I sat down with Chris, who is one of the co-owners. Now we did film this interview in the brewery itself, and the brewery was open, and there were people enjoying beers and all of those types of things. So there is going to be that pub atmosphere, background noise in the interview itself. I did what I could to minimize it, but you know what? Chris is a really busy guy, and I wasn't going to try to get him into a very quiet location. He's got things to do. Not to mention I caption all of my videos, so if at any point you're having a little bit of trouble understanding what we're saying, that is available to you as well. Without further ado, let's go a couple of days into the past.
So I'm Chris Bjerrisgaard, the founder and one of the owners of Small Gods Brewing here in Sidney, BC, and we are a literary themed brewery.
So why literary themed?
So when we were trying to come up with an idea of how to brand this brewery, it was really important for us to fit into the fabric of the community of Sidney and have something that actually fit the town. And ultimately, we could have gone with a nautical theme or something, which has been done to death in brewing. But Sidney's, one of its unique characteristics is that it's known as Booktown. It's one of the few Booktown designations, if the only one in Canada that I'm aware of.
It is the only one in Canada. There are only 3 in the States, and then the rest are all in Europe.
Yeah, there's tons. Yeah. Like I know there's like 3 in Wales. And it does help that my wife is a writer, so the second I was like, well, what if we did a literary theme? She got very excited about the idea, and you know, it was a way for us to kind of bring our 2 dreams together. And for me, it was also very unique. I had never seen a brewery with a literary theme before. Seen a couple of beer bars that are like store beer bar hybrids with literary themes, but nothing from the brewery itself. And I also know from years and years in the brewing industry that things like naming beers can be really, really hard because everything is taken. But doing title homages to great works kind of created a sandbox that I could play in, where I could take a beer and go, okay, what region is it from? Are there famous authors from that region? What kind of references can I pull from that to help name beers, and then obviously in turn share our love of literature as a group of people at the brewery. So not only now do we come up with beer names because of the styles and thus follow the writing, sometimes it will now start going back where someone will be like, oh, I love this book, and we can kind of see if we can reverse engineer beer out of the idea of the book.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, no, I was definitely thinking about it. I'm like, I wonder if they try to think like, ooh, I really want this title for a beer. Do you just do that? Or do you do what you're doing and actually go in and like, well, what would that beer actually taste like? You're not just putting a name on a beer because you think it sounds good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Exactly.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
Yeah, we get to play with it a bit. I mean, some beers are harder than others to name, but it's interesting because it's also just for me shining light onto authors that I never knew about. So, and works genres that I don't normally choose to read, not because I dislike the genre, just because it's not my go-to genres, right? You know, if I kind of were to just pick books that only I read, it would have been a lot of Jim Harrison's work, but then a lot of things like Red Rising, you know, space operas and that sort of thing. Me and my wife are very deep into The Expanse right now. And she's also redoing Wheel of Time right now. She's very deep into that.
I only got 2.5 books into that one, and I need to take a break, and then I just never went back. Yeah. Which happens to me a lot with series. It's my own problem.
It was just a really great way for us to share our love of literature, have something that worked with the town, and then also we get the joy of, you know, even expanding our audience.
I'm really happy that you took Sidney into account, because another one of my questions was, did they know this was the Booktown? Like, how many people actually know that? Because I lived in Victoria for years before finding out that we had a Booktown, and it was in Sidney. Yeah. So I was like, are they local? Did they just know that? Yeah, so that makes me happy.
That was a big piece, is like we needed to find something that would fit with the fabric of the town. Like, I had ideas. I'm also a very big like hip hop head, and we have this deli concept in the brewery, and I had a lot of influence from like New York bodegas, but that doesn't work in Sydney. That has zero connection. It would work fine in East Vancouver, where I have lived before, and like all of that would have been totally fine, but I'm not going to try and cram a brand that I want down the throat of the fabric of the community. You gotta make sure that you can fit within the community. So we drew from different inspirations, and so far everybody's been very excited.
One of the things I noticed, because I came here a couple of weekends ago when you guys were very busy, which was good. I was glad to see it because I know you just opened. I noticed that things like the mirrors, not only in this space but in the bathrooms, are your logo. Like they are the same shape as your logo. And I was like, that is so smart. I love it. I also noticed that one of those pillows up there definitely just looks like books. It's probably unintentional, but intentional, and I love that too. One of the things I really wanted to ask about is the naming of the beers. We've already touched on it a bit, but I want to know all the references. Just lay it on me, tell me what the references are, because that was what got me really excited.
So the way our beer system works is we have 3 core beers that will always be around. We may have other things graduate into being a full stay core beer, but right now we wanted to keep it to 3. And then have the remaining 9 beers rotate and change and be fun. One, it gives us an opportunity to continue to be creative and express our creativity in that way, but also showcase new books and new things, that side of the interest. And so of our 3 cores, we have Never Ending, which is our German Pilsner, which is named for the never ending story, Michael N., which is like, you know, pretty much the perfect name for a Pilsner, because that's also kind of, you never want it to end. That's the beer that you can crush at all times. So it was a very fitting name, and it's a northern German style of Pilsner we're doing, not a Czech style, so that's how that kind of came together. As far as Honest Land and Rascal King, those are Hazy Pale and our Hazy IPA. Those are both New England tales from New England writers. Honest Land is a New England murder mystery, and then Rascal King is actually a biography of a New England politician known as the Rascal King, who did all kinds of crazy stuff that I would spend 30 minutes just explaining him alone. So I'll let you guys go find that book. It's very interesting. It's very fascinating now. And those are both because Hazy Pales and Hazy IPAs were a New England origin invention. People will say Boston or Vermont or anything, but it's definitely, you know, kind of that Northeast influence. Sometimes we also just look for cool names and then go, how's that work? And what's the tale about? We dig more into that and go, okay, there's nothing homophobic or racist or anything that's real. Okay, great. Now we can possibly use this as I'll touch on a few of the seasonals just because I would be here forever.
Yeah, no, definitely. You don't have to give me every single detail, but I am, like, we could talk forever. I'd be so interested. But give me the ones you really want to tell me.
One of the ones I really like a lot is Genji, just because it's for the tale of Genji, which is considered to be one of the first novels ever written, where it's a fiction. It was written by a Japanese emperor's concubine, and she was unique in the fact that because she was a concubine, she had education, was able to learn how to read and write, which very few women in feudal Japan had the ability to. And then she went on to write this great work of fiction that's still in print today. And we wanted to do a rice lager, a Japanese lager. One, because we really like the style, and 2, Genji is just a very fascinating part of literary history. So being able to marry those 2 things right out of the gates was very interesting to us. We just tapped 2 new beers, so we have Elbow Room.
I just had that while I was waiting for you. It's very good.
Excellent. I'm glad you like it, which is a peach tea goes. And so we made a goes, which is traditionally a European sour style, but we chose to name it after a writer, the first black writer to ever win a Pulitzer. He wrote Elbow Room, and he's from Georgia, hence peach tea, you know, and it contains 90 pounds of peach puree, peach tea, and peach rooibos tea.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's another very kind of interesting one that also has a bit of literary history baked into the name. That's the other thing, is we tried our best to choose a wide variety of authors from different backgrounds, so we were representative and not famous dead white guys, which would have been the easiest thing to possibly do. So we will never do a Hemingway beer because it will be way too cliche. So even though he's definitely wrote some amazing stuff. We'll leave that to the side.
Yeah, there are other authors.
Exactly.
And, there's other complexities that you can play with, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that you go with different genres as well, because I can't just read one genre. I don't know the people that can. Like, I'm happy for you, but also I need to like read everything, contemporary, sci-fi, fantasy.
Exactly.
Everything. Read everything. So it's fun that you're pulling from all these different places and then trying to figure out not only is it, this is a good idea, how do I make a beer out of it, but this is a good idea for a beer, how do I find a reference that connects the two? Yeah, exactly. I love that you're playing from both ends.
The name itself of the brewery, Small Gods, many people think it's a Terry Pratchett reference, which is perfectly acceptable. Like,
I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not mad about people thinking about that, but it's actually for the late great Jim Harrison. And one of the reasons why we chose Jim Harrison, when we were coming up with this concept and going, well, who's the patron saint of this business, like who represents what we're trying to do, is Jim Harrison was a prolific writer that wrote many different genres and styles. So he covered a fairly large gamut of that, so it was representative of not just named after a sci-fi or a specific type of genre of writing, but additionally he wrote a lot of food and drink articles for Esquire and has his own food and drink book, The Ron the Cook.
All ties in together.
It all tied in together. It was like, well, if we're going to make a literary themed brewery, we're really about food, drink, and literature. Who would represent that well? And then obviously Jim Harrison has such beautiful works as well, amazing quotes that we can pop on things and honor his memory with. And hopefully it'll cause people to go buy more of his work and help his estate continue.
I was going to say, before this brewery, I didn't know who that was, so now I'm going to have to read one of his books.
Yeah, his most famous book is Legends of the Fall.
Okay.
He wrote a ton of poetry. I just bought his poetry anthology, which is... They had a very limited edition version, which is 3 books, massive.
What has the overall reception been like? I know it's only been a few weeks, but what has it been like so far?
It's been overwhelmingly positive. Not just from one of the aspects of the business, but every aspect. Like, we are getting praised for, the interest in the branding, the uniqueness of the literary aspect, as well as the customer service, the room itself, obviously the beer, as well as the food. More positive reviews than I would have expected out of the gates, just having been in this industry long enough. It's really hard to do.
There's so many little things that could go wrong. So.
Yeah, it's very nuanced. It's kind of like the process of writing, where you don't normally write a first draft and then go, this is done and it works. And it's not to say that we didn't edit and iterate. We're not continuing to do that right now, but to have it already this high quality where people are blown away by it is quite interesting. Most breweries, I tend to personally not judge the products they're making for 3 to 4 months, depending on their sale rate, because they need a couple of brews to understand the system and the nuances of the system and how to get the most out of it. And somehow my business partner and our brewer Johnny managed to do really high quality stuff right out of the gates that we're hoping we can improve on, but we're very proud to put it out on shelves right now. And we've been going to some of the more discerning liquor stores. Nobody's going to give you a free pass here. I dropped off samples, for example, at a place called Cook Street Liquor, which South Island people will know is the beer store in the South Island, where they do like Thursday tastings with the staff. And all the staff care passionately about the products they're putting on their shelves, not just from a sale rate, but they want to have the best products available. And later that night, I got a credit app and they ordered 2 of everything.
Nice.
Like, okay, I only gave you samples of 4 of the 10 I have available. So
like, we want to try the rest of them.
Yeah.
How long was everything in the works before you opened it on the first day?
in theory, I've been thinking about this for about 5 yeers. Actively working on it since the beginning of August 2020, as I was laid off from my job due to the pandemic. And I kind of had this idea in the back of my head, and some stuff I had put together on the side of my desk but never really explored, and kind of was like, well, it's going to take a while to build this thing. I've got to raise money, I've got to do all these processes. And so from that point, we're looking at about a 2-year turnaround from, I'm actually going to do this to the day we get
That include like things like, not only do I want to do this, but it's business plan, it's finding the location, it's finding the staff, it's doing all the decor, it's doing...
Yes, absolutely everything. Liquor licensing, which can be a nightmare. Construction, dealing with contractors, all of those things, like, yes, from basically more or less zero to open doors in 2 years, which is fairly quick.
It's a pretty quick turnaround.
Fairly quick in the industry, but I had the advantage that a lot of people don't, which I have 10 years of brewing industry experience, as well as prior to my brewing industry life, I worked as a consultant for a lot of video game companies who were often raising money and doing business planning and things of that nature. So it wasn't kind of my first exposure to even that side of business plan raising money, so I had a little bit more going for me. A lot of people go, I want to open a brewery, and they've had absolutely zero reference for it. So logically, it takes them time.
I think I've asked basically everything I wanted.
Excellent.
I'm trying to think of like if there's anything else.
I gotta imagine your average run time you're looking for is within the 10 to 15.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Like I'm one of the...
You don't really worry about the algorithm too much?
I really don't. Like I've been doing this for 6 years, specifically BookTube, and I'm like, people watch my videos that like books, that's cool. Like, you have a background in marketing, so I'm like, what should I title this video? Because I title my videos very boring things, like Weekly Entertainment Wrap-Up 294. Like, that's the one I just did.
I mean, honestly, like, I think because you have a built-in audience and it's earnest, like, I wouldn't mess with it. Do what you think is going to make the most sense for your audience, whether that's, you know, Small Gods Brewing interview or what have you.
Yeah.
Like, because that's the thing. I love stuff like this. Like, I'm sure there are people out there who would be like, well, it's not really like a big PR thing and it's not worth my time, whatever. I built an entire career about caring about every single person who cares enough to ask me. And I don't want to F with their stuff. Like, it's like, you know, you're passionate, you're doing this for love, and you're asking me about what I love.
Yeah.
So just let it be organic.
Yeah, no, I was very happy you said yes to talk to me. So it's like, I know I don't have a huge draw, and like a lot of my draws are not going to be local.
Yeah, they're not going to even be. But like, to me, it's like, quite frankly, it's one, I just think it's cool. Like, I think what you're doing is cool. I watch very niche, weird YouTube stuff.
Same.
That isn't BookTube, but like, I watch like pro wrestling YouTube stuff. Probably my nerdiest one is I don't watch a lot of video gaming YouTube, but I watch this dude, City Planner Plays. And he's a city planner who plays city skylines, and but he talks about like zoning and like how you actually build a city properly, and I love that. Like, I think it's fascinating. I know I would be stoked if he ever mentioned my beer. So
I love when people are passionate about something and they're talking about that thing. Like, that's all I need. So.
Exactly.
Perfect.
And then, you know, the inherent other thing is there's a certain level of the like karma that comes back where you're just earnest and genuine and you put the effort in for people, and you're like, you never know, the next thing you know, you're telling someone about this great brewery you've been at, and the snowball goes downhill.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
somebody goes on a road trip, they decide they need to go to Victoria, this is one of the spots they go to because they heard so much about it.
Exactly. I like what you're doing, frankly, so I was just like, yeah, look, let's do this. I can find a way to squeak it in. I really appreciate you also waiting. I knew my day was going to get away from me. That's why I like sent that email where I was like, could you push to 4?
This is a hobby for me. I'm good. I got a beer.
I kind of figured, I was like, worst case scenario, we'll give her beer. I'm like, she must have a book she can read.
Yeah, I did have books with me.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, I never leave home without books. I'd like to say a very heartfelt thanks to Chris for carving out some time for me, because I know that things are absolutely wild right now, and I'm so glad that we got to sit down and geek out about literary things and whatever we ended up talking about afterwards, because we continued talking after that, but none of it was really brewery related. I put the link to the Small Gods website down below, as well as their Instagram, so go check that out. You can even join their newsletter when they start doing literary literary events, that information will go out. And I'm very excited for that. One of the things we were nerding out about is how the space can be moved around for literary events. Have you ever visited a literary themed location? Let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!